ground rules are. Number one ground rule at an event like this. Excellent. Phone is in silent mode, right? The second most important thing is please ask questions. The team is here today to help you, and today is really all about you to answer your questions and make sure that we are able to. Once you're finished with this session, we have a lot of interesting sessions planned today, and once you're done with today and you head out there, we hope that you will be creating really vibrant content for the Indian ecosystem. So make sure that all of your questions are answered. So please engage. Feel free to, and we've sort of left time between each session so that you can ask questions. And at the end of the day, there's also a very detailed session, a lot of time set aside for you to ask questions. And just to orient you a little bit, there's water in the room, there's also water outside, and the restrooms are down the corridor. So at any time, if you need to step out, then and the team is at the back, so feel free to ask any questions or ask for any help. Okay? All right, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to the Google Search Conference in Bengaluru. I'm really excited to be here. As some of you may already know, this has been a series of conference events, and this is our 11th event. We're almost at the end of our series, but it's particularly exciting for me to be here today because this is a women-only event, right? And it's always great to do events like that. So I want to reiterate again, you should all have a copy of the agenda. Try not to miss anything, and feel free to ask questions throughout the day. So I want to start us off by invoking Sundar's statement. And this is really core to what we do at Google. We bring information to people. The internet is a really powerful medium of access and knowledge to millions of users worldwide. And what we're here to do today is to teach you tips and tricks on how to harness this power and bring the content and your technology knowledge to hundreds of users who are looking to use this, right? There's no better place to really harness knowledge and the power of the internet than in India. Every year, we are adding 6 to 7 crore new internet users. That's more than any other country. And yet, if you look at this chart, the gap between our population and the internet population is massive. And this is really the opportunity, right, to bring the next billion Indian users online. And another unique thing about the Indian market is the diversity of its local languages, right? Already, Indian language users of the internet have surpassed the number of English language users, and this is only going to grow. Today, we are at about 23 crores Indian language speakers, but the estimates and all industry estimates seem to indicate that this will grow to 54 crores by 2021. And this means that 9 out of every 10 new internet users coming online in the next 3 years will be an Indian language user. And while we talk about all of the growth on the internet and all of these new internet users coming online seeking content, it's important to remember that one of the key user groups that are coming online are going to be women. There's already a huge mismatch in the number of women in our population, the proportion of women in our population, and the proportion of women who are online. So 48% of India's population is female, but only 29% of our users are women. And we also know that when I was talking about that growth through the next 3 years into 2021, we estimate that 60% of them are going to be women. Now, the needs of new internet users are similar across gender identities to some extent, right? Everybody is looking for opportunities to communicate, they're looking to connect with more people, they're looking for information, they're looking for entertainment. But the needs of women are somewhat specific. And women are coming online looking for health advice, for a community, for jobs, right? For resources to learn from home. For mentorship. And we encourage all content creators and web technologists to know what their user needs are and try and meet them but particularly for women creators, for women webmasters, and for women digital strategists to try and answer this need that women have. Let me share a personal example. So I love to travel. Who doesn't, right? Everybody loves to travel. But it's very difficult, as many of you might know already, to find a common group that can take holidays at the same time, take off, and they're all interested in the same location. And then when you reach there, you want to do the same activity. So it's very difficult, right? And so I was looking for a community of women that I could travel with. And so I went online and I found this group called Women on Wanderlust. Many of you may already know about it. And these are trips for women organized by women. And it's really great because you get to meet all of these women, you get to learn about it's not just about traveling with them, but it's also about the community, right? Because now some of these women that I've traveled with are very good friends of mine. And even if I'm not traveling, even if I'm planning a trip, I can go to this community, and while a regular travel website could tell me how to get there, hotels, sites, these women are able to tell me things like, is it safe for women? What's a good hotel to stay at if you're a single female traveling, right? So these are the kind of information that I'm able to get. So this is a good story where I was looking for information. There are other women out there like me who shared this information and made it available online, and I could find them, right? But there are so many query spaces where women are sharing information within their groups or in closed platforms like on a WhatsApp group, but they're not making it available in general, right? If you want advice, you might reach out to a friend, you might reach out to someone older in your family who can give you that advice, but that knowledge of theirs is not being tapped so that other women are able to access it. And that's what I mean when I say that there are specific needs that women have that we can help bring to a larger audience. So we talked about user growth in general. We also talked about the proportion of women who are coming online. We talked about the increasingly digital lives that people are living today. But what does all of this mean in business terms? So the Indian advertising, the digital advertising industry today is going to be worth about $1 billion. And it took us about 15 years to get here. But the next 4 years are going to be very, very important because growth is only accelerating. It's not like we have plateaued yet. Today, the Indian language digital advertising industry is growing at a rate of about 31% per year. And right now, the share of Indian language advertising is about 5%, but that's expected to grow to about 31% in the next 4 years. We've also found that when you pre-enable local language web browsers or applications on mobile phones, they tend to see a lot more adoption when these local language options are preloaded. And we've also found that a typical new internet user coming online today, 80% of them are more likely to click on an advertisement that's in their local language versus one that's in English. And what this means is that there is a real need for content in the local languages. And that's where you come in, right? Because you have the wisdom and the knowledge that we're looking to tap into. And so a couple of years ago in 2017, Google published a piece of research with KPMG where we tried to understand what are the content needs of users, right? And we found that typically the content needs of users evolve over time. When they typically come online for the first time, they're looking for easy ways to communicate, they're looking for entertainment, but over time their needs evolve and they start looking for more from the internet. And that's where India is right now. Because today, people are not just coming online to watch a movie or listen to a song, but they're looking for utility, right? They're looking to shop. They're looking to bank. They're looking to share more of their content with more people, to consume research, for instance. And that's the gap that we want you to address. If you are a content creator today, you must understand these content needs and address these trends quickly so that you're able to really power the lives of 1 billion Indians. And that brings us back to our mission. The mission, and I hope all of you have heard this, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. And universally means across geographies, across boundaries, across user types, across user identities, and also across languages. And this is where our commitment to making the web more inclusive across languages comes from. And you will see this across our suite of products. These are just 3 examples, and I hope that you all use these. So on the Gboard, we support 33 languages. One of them is Tulu, which is spoken by less than 2 million users worldwide. And we've tried to make the Gboard available in the language and also in the layout that users prefer. So they could type in English and have it automatically transliterated, or they could type in their local language directly, right? And it's all about offering them choice. Google Translate works now in 11 languages. And here's a little snippet for you. So 50% of the content on the world's internet is in English, but only about 20% of our users worldwide have some English skills, which is why we've worked very hard to improve our translations and make them more accurate. And one of the ways we've done that is to move from phrase-based translations to machine learning-based translations. And today, about 500 million users use Google Translate worldwide. Maps is consistently reported as one of the most useful apps across devices and across platforms. And even on Maps, you'll see that we are able to provide directions in multiple languages, and also the information tiles that you see on Maps. And we brought the same commitment to search, because today we already offer tabbed search in Hindi. We hope to bring it to additional languages over time, and I hope that some of you have gotten a chance to see what tabbed search results look like in Hindi. And of course, the knowledge graph is available in 6 languages. But that's the thing about search, right? Our results are only as good as our index. And this is food for thought, right? Today in India, there are over 100 crore Indian language speakers, but less than 0.1% of our websites are in the local language. And that's hard hitting, right? Because that means that when people are coming online looking for content, there aren't any websites because we haven't found any content to index. So we're not able to serve their needs. And that's the challenge that we are trying to solve with you and through all of the other events that we've been having in the past couple of months. So our team is called the Google Search Outreach and Webmaster Support Team. It's a global team. It's led by Juan Felipe, who's sitting at the back there. And we have teams across the world dedicated to helping local language creators and webmasters understand search and create better websites that serve the needs of their users. In India, the team is at the back here, and you will hear from them through the day. And I hope that some of these faces should be familiar to you if you've been on our channels, if you've been on our community. And you'll hear from them through the day. So there are 3 things that we try to do. We try to make our resources available to you in your local language. So today, the Webmaster forums, our help center, a lot of our online help resources are already available in Hindi, and we want to bring that to other languages through the next couple of months. The second thing we do is also answer questions live through as many channels as we can, which is why we host Hangouts on air at least once a month, if not more often. We also have a G+ community for Indian webmasters, and how many of you are already part of that community? So you know that's your first action item for the day, right? So please go join that community. It's a very engaging community. You can ask questions and connect with other people. And you can also answer questions, right? So if there are things that you're very comfortable doing and you've already tried it, you've solved a problem, and some other webmaster in India is facing that problem, you can go and answer that question, right? So please go ahead and join it if you haven't already. We also attend and host a lot of events. So last year is when we first hosted the Google Search Conference in 5 cities across India, and we did it in English and Hindi. This year we are doing 11 cities and 5 languages. And like I said, we hope that the whole point of doing this is to connect with webmasters on the ground, to hear what your issues are, and to make sure that we are making all resources available so that you can create better content. And so welcome again. Like I said, it is your day today, right? We are here to walk you through, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about best practices for search. We'll talk about tips that we've learned over time. We'll answer frequently asked questions. We'll talk about structured data, mobile friendliness, and a range of topics. And we hope that through this, we'll be able to equip you better, and you will be able to get the answers to all of the questions that you had, and maybe also think of new ways to make your content more engaging. And so I forgot to introduce myself, but I hope that you guys saw my name. So my name is Sujata, and feel free to talk to me through the day, and make sure that you're making the most of today. All right? So welcome again, and I'm going to pull up the agenda, which you already have, but just to let you know, it's pretty packed. So we'll try and go quickly because we do want to give you time to engage and interact, not just with us, but also with each other. But at any time, if you think we're going too fast, then feel free to call us out and ask us to slow down. And with that, I'll hand it over to Syed, who will walk you through the rest of the content today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujata. Thank you. Day, right? This is your day. So I'm Syed Malik. I look after Google Search outreach in India and South Asia, and super excited to be doing this today. And as Sujata mentioned, we have all our colleagues here who will be doing multiple sessions for you, right? And as you have seen, the internet opportunity in India is huge. Yes, it is huge. And there is dearth of, well, women internet users in the first place, and more so women content creators. Yes, and people who actually contribute to the worldwide ecosystem in India. So that, I think, that makes you even more special, right? That makes you even more special, that this is a very, very special group here today. And as we know, we have gathered here to learn how we can use the power of Google search to reach out to more users, right? Grow our businesses. So whatever you do, whatever type of content you create, whatever type of websites you manage, how we can use Google search to leverage the internet opportunity in India, right? So keeping that in mind is exactly what we have designed this conference for. So what you will see is we have a packed agenda today. We will start with the very basics of how search works. Okay, so we will understand, okay, how exactly a search engine works. What are the mechanics? This is a very, very high level overview, so we have a good understanding of how it works. And then we will take a look at some critical updates that you as publishers and content creators, bloggers, website owners must know. And then we will go into a little bit deeper sessions which talk about SEO best practices. Okay, what are the things that you should keep in mind? What are the pitfalls that you should watch out for? And is making my website mobile friendly really important? If yes, and how do I do that? What are the different kind of approaches? What are some of the tips that I should keep in mind? And what are the pitfalls that I should watch out for? What is structured data? How do I use it? Does it really help in enhancing the appearance of my pages in Google search results? What is AMP? Accelerated mobile pages. How can I use it, right? And then finally we will have a session where we'll look at a bunch of things like truths and myths that are associated with search engine optimization, And besides this, although this entire conference is designed specifically for organic search, as we say, right? Google search listings. We also have a session on AdSense policies, because we understand that, okay, generating revenue from your online presence is also important, and a lot of people use ads. So I think that was an important session as well. So we included that as well in this agenda. So how does the agenda look? Does it look exciting? Yes. Yes. Looking forward to learning things? Yes. Yes. But let me also tell you this. As much as you are looking forward to learning today from us, we are also looking forward to learning from you. Okay? We are also really, really looking forward to learning from you. What are the challenges that you, as women content creators and contributors to this beautiful Indian internet ecosystem, what are the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis? Right? So we would really like those kinds of insights, which we can actually use to improve these kinds of sessions for you, to improve our products and policies and all those kinds of things. So what you will see is in the afternoon, we have a survey that we will give to you. So if you can please fill that, that will be super helpful to us. And then you may, I mean, if at all, if somebody is interested, then we also have our UX research team that would like to talk to you individually, right? So we have a room booked in the corner. So they would like to talk to you like for 10-15 minutes individually, take your insights and views and things like that. So if anybody's interested, that person should be here in a while. I'll point you to her, and then you can contact her, and then, you know, if at all you're interested. Okay? Yes, please.
So I have a question about the...
Already? Okay, no, please go ahead. Brilliant question. Are we going to talk about these things in Indian context, in the Indian language context, right? Yeah, or is this? So see, when it comes to SEO, most of the things that we do are language agnostic. You would do the same things for a French website and a Hindi website and a Telugu website and things like that. However, there are some nuances, there are some nitty-gritties related to language, which will also be highlighted during the sessions. Okay? So generally, in general terms, a lot of these things are applicable across languages. But there are some things that you can indeed do for language-specific websites. Those things are also definitely covered. And if you have any types of questions, please feel free to ask them anytime, okay? We may not have a lot of time for Q&A during the sessions. However, we have a dedicated, as you can see on the agenda, dedicated Q&A session. Okay, so the last session that we have will merge into a Q&A session. So, I mean, if at all your questions don't get answered during the session, please park them until the Q&A session. You have your notepads, please note them down. Okay, don't miss them. And then we'll try to answer as many questions as you have today. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay, that's great. So before we begin, I just wanted to get a general understanding of like how many of you like own websites? Meaning own. Wow, that's a lot of you. Great. And the rest of you, do you like create content, manage websites? How many of you manage websites? Great. And the rest of you like create content as well online? That's great. So I think almost the entire room here is managing either their own websites or for their companies or whoever it is, yes, which is wonderful. And this, I think, the entire content makes it absolutely relevant for you, which is wonderful. Okay, great. So thanks for coming, and we will begin with the first session. Okay, which is how search works. Yes. For people who are sitting right in the front row, is the screen comfortable, or you would sprain your neck? It's fine. If not, feel free to move a row behind. I mean, it's okay, right? If at all you feel like that. Okay, so how search work and search updates. So in this session, what we are going to do, by the way, before we begin again, there is one thing I should point out is, if you can see at the left bottom here, we have a hashtag. Okay, great. You're already looking for it. Yes.
What's the hashtag?
Yeah. Okay. Great. So very active, involved crowd, which is wonderful. So hash Google SC. SC is for search conference, right? Hash Google SC. Please feel free to share your reactions, your pictures, and your whatever it is on all types of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, whatever it is, okay? We would love to see your reactions there. So what we are going to do in this session is first of all look at how exactly does a search engine work. Now, do you think it is important for us to know this or no? It is? Okay, that's great. Yes, it is important because once you understand how a particular system works, then I think you're in the best position to use that system as well. So we will look at that, a very high-level overview of the mechanics of search. Then we will go to a couple of important updates that we have launched in the recent 1 year that are actually relevant to you as website owners, right? So like mobile first indexing and speed update, and then a couple of tools that we have like Lighthouse and the new search console that we are going to release, that is released in beta already. So how does the search work? Well, before we begin to understand how does a search engine work, I think what we need to do is take a step back and define what a search engine is. Yes? If I define what a search engine is, what it does, then we can go into understanding how it does whatever it does. So what is a search engine? Well, that takes me back to the very mission statement of Google. Our mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. What is it? To organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful. And as Sujata has already stressed upon, like when we say universally, it means no matter what kind of content it is, what format it is in, what region it comes from, what language it is in, what kind of users, what kind of publishers, and all of those things, right? We want to organize all of this information, make it universally accessible, and not just accessible, also useful. Now, when you're talking about organizing the world's information, now especially in the context of Google search, what information are we talking about? We are talking about the information that is on the World Wide Web and the internet. Yes? Now, do you think it's an easy job for a search engine to organize all of that information? Can somebody guess how many number of documents can be found roughly on the World Wide Web? Any estimates? I mean, I know you do not know, so yeah. Sorry? Some billions? Billions. Billions. Trillions? Anybody for trillions? Yes? Yes? Absolutely. I think yes, you're right. Okay, I can easily say there are probably at least a couple of 100 trillion pages. Couple of 100 trillion pages that Google was able to find. And there could be many more that Google was not able to find. Right? So that's the depth of the content, I mean, that is available on the World Wide Web. Now, when you're talking about organizing all of this information, how does a search engine go about organizing all of this, right? Is it going to be an easy thing or a very, very difficult thing?
It's not an easy thing, it's based on the algorithm.
It is not easy, but it is based on the algorithm.
And also when we search on Google, we find the relevant search answers for our query.
Great. When you search on Google, you find relevant results. Yes. So we are trying to understand how exactly that happens. How is it that Google is able to give you relevant results most of the times, if not all? Out of the trillions of pages that are available on the World Wide Web, how does it pick so precisely the most relevant results that you need? It crawls, right? Pick up the right keywords. Yes. Crawl the web, use the metadata to understand content. Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, you're absolutely right. So that is how it happens. Now, when it is happening at that scale, when we talk about the World Wide Web, now the nature of this content that is on the World Wide Web, is it static or very dynamic? Very dynamic? Dynamic, meaning it is changing all the time. There are thousands of pages or lakhs of pages that are coming online every day, new pages. There are many more pages that are going dead. Yes, of course. And the technology itself is changing. Like the HTML is not the same as we used a decade ago, for example. The protocols are changing, CSS, JavaScript, everything is changing. So the search engine, that is whatever, however it is crawling or indexing, whatever processes you said, can these processes also be built once and then forgotten about and expected to be work as intended always, or they need to be updated constantly? Updated constantly? Yes. Yes, of course. So this is a very, very dynamic process. And do you think when it is so dynamic, do you expect search engines to work perfectly all the time? No? Yes? So sometimes search may fail. Yes? Maybe sometimes it may not give you some relevant content. Maybe it may sometimes show you something sensitive that it shouldn't be showing. Right? Things like that can happen. Right? And we know why that happens. Okay? Yeah. So let us look at the processes. Okay? The first and the most critical process is the process of discovering content on the World Wide Web. Meaning, if you think about a search engine, it is not creating its own content. Is it? No. What is it doing? Collecting the information that is there on the World Wide Web and presenting it to the users when they look for it. Yes? So it is dependent on your content, meaning it has to discover what is available there in the first place. Otherwise, it won't be able to represent that in the search results. So this becomes very, very critical in the making of any search engine. Now, how exactly does this happen? So for any search engine, there is a piece of software that does this, and this piece of software is known by different names. Spiders, bots, crawlers, robots, right? Can anybody give me the official name of this piece of software that Google has? Google Search Bot? Is that the exact name? Or, sorry, Spider? It's called something. It is Google Bot as one word. Okay? It is Google Bot. So if you search for Google Bot, then you should be able to find information about it. So this is the piece of software that does it. How exactly it goes about doing it? So for example, this Googlebot knows about one page on the internet. It goes to this page. And when it is on this page, it primarily does two things. How many? Just two things. It copies this page, makes a copy of this page, sends it back to the database. And then the next thing it does is look at all the links that are available on this page, pointing to different pages. So for example, on this page, it is pointing to 5 different pages, meaning there are 5 links. So what it does, for every link it finds, it jumps to that page. Through this one page, it found how many pages? 5 new pages. Now when it is on each of these 5 new pages, it repeats the process. Captures the information, makes a copy, sends it back to the database, looks at more links that are available on that page and jump to those pages. So this is how Googlebot goes on discovering the content on the World Wide Web. Now what if you created a page on your website and then did not link to it from other pages? Would it become easy for Googlebot to discover that page or difficult? Difficult? Yes?
Because that page is already been discovered, right? So how will you...
Yeah, we are saying we are saying, okay, are people at the back able to hear me comfortably? Okay. So the question is, if that page is already crawled, why is it difficult for a product to crawl it? Okay. Yes, it is not difficult in that case. We are talking about a case where you created one page. This is a new page on your website, and then you haven't linked to it from other pages. Now in this case, would it become easy for Googlebot to discover that page? Or difficult? Difficult. Right? We are not saying, okay, Googlebot will never be able to crawl that page or discover that page or whatever. It may be able to, because there are some other things that we may also use. Sorry?
Some keywords will be there.
Keywords?
Actually, the manual things we do, fetches Google bot.
Fetches Google bot, okay.
Sitemap also, that is the things we do.
Okay, yes, you can use fetches Googlebot or things like these. But however, if you imagine, it is only a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of people who are aware of these things. Yes? So Googlebot cannot really depend on these kinds of things. So the primary way it goes about discovering the World Wide Web is links, because that is how we also discover information on the World Wide Web. That is how the world is connected, right? It is a mesh of pages connected through links. So that is the most logical thing to follow to discover content on the World Wide Web. Yes? So yes, there are things that you can do. You can submit a sitemap. You can do fetches Google if you want and submit to index. Okay, and Google may have other places from where it may be able to find the pages, but those are not the primary means by which it finds. So if you want to really help Googlebot in capturing your information to be able for it to represent in the search results, then linking them appropriately from other pages is important. Yes. If there are any footer links, then would crawlers crawl it? Of course, any types of links. Any types of links, Googlebot may follow, yes.
Should there be a limitation of how many links go on like one page or?
Okay, there should be a limitation on how many pages can go on a page. Yeah. Okay, meaning there is no limitation from Google's side, meaning Google cannot enforce a limitation on you saying, okay, you cannot have more than these many links on your pages. Optimum. Okay, that's a good question. Optimum. What is optimum? What is optimum is what is optimum for your users.
Okay.
Yes, of course, that matters, because why are you creating those pages? For whom? For users, right? If it makes things easier for them to navigate to certain pages which are related from this page, for example, if you have an home page, it becomes really important that you link to all the critical sections of your website through the home page so that it becomes easier for them to navigate to. Right? And as you go deeper, maybe you have more specialized links within that one section of the website that you link to from these pages. Yes, that is how the link structure works. But if you're just putting like thousands of links on one page just to make them crawled by Googlebot, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. Is it encouraged by Googlebot or Google? Not really, right? Because that is hampering the user experience. So that is what we need to focus on. And to your question, links, if they are at the bottom in the footer, are they crawled? Yes, Googlebot is trying to discover all pieces of information that it can get to, right? So if you have any links in the menu, in the footer, in the sidebar, within the content, wherever they are, it tries to follow those links. Okay, yes. So that is the process of crawling, and we understood how critical it is for you to have a good site structure, link appropriately to the other internal sections of your website and pages and things like that. However, there could be many more challenges that Googlebot may face while it is trying to crawl your pages. Like, Googlebot comes to crawl a page, and then you give them a server error. Now, in that case, what happens? Google was not able to get to the content. When it is not able to get to the content, it is not able to index it, it is not able to show it in the search results, right? Yeah, so there could be many problems. Now, how would you know that Google is having problems in crawling your website? Search Console, absolutely, right? A lot of you know about that already. However, we also have a dedicated section in our slides to show you more about Google Search Console, so we'll see that, right? So we have tools that can provide you that information. Now, once this information is captured by Googlebot, that is sent to a database, a backend processing system. Now here we try to understand the content of the page. Okay, so now we may look at, okay, what is the primary content on this page? Is this a video page, an image page? Is this a news article or a blog post? What exactly is it? And if it is an article, okay, what is the title, heading of this article? What is the content? What are the keywords that we can find? What is the title, meta title of this page? What is the meta description of this page? What pages is this linking to? What kind of images we can find on this page? And so on and so forth. We try to extract this information and store it in something called as the Google's index. Okay, we try to extract this information, we try to understand the topic of the page, the context of that topic, and then store this information in a database called Google's index. And this is where we also gather information about PageRank. Yeah, how many of you know PageRank? Yes, most of you? Yes. It is dead now. It is dead? How many of you say it is dead? Meaning we are no more using PageRank? Nobody's asking for it. So it is dead. Google is also not using. Okay. Did Google say that PageRank is dead? We are not using it anymore? Did you hear Google saying it? No?
Just read on some of the search engine land and watch. I read
Search engine land. Okay.
and search engine.
Did they say PageRank is dead?
We are not using, no.
Okay.
It's
They're not
a
stressing
factor
upon it
now for
anymore.
us users.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that gives you a sense, okay, probably it is not being used. How many of you think it is being used indeed?
It's being used, but it's one of the many factors.
Wow, that's a brilliant answer. Dot on. Right? Yes, it is being used. It is a critical part of our algorithms, how they work. But it is one of the more than how many factors? 200 plus. More than 200 plus factors that we use. So this is one of those factors. Okay, it is not that we are not using it. Yes, it is important. It is being used still. It is just that we have stopped giving you those numbers, which were anyways not being updated regularly. Externally, we are not showing that number anymore, but it is definitely being used. Does that mean now you go back and start creating links? Does it mean that? Okay, we'll talk about that as well in our policy section. Okay, yeah. So once we have that, all this Googlebot has captured all this information. Now we start processing that information. We gather all this information, and then of course, like when we're dealing with trillions of pages, it's but natural that we create something called an index. Without the index, it would be very difficult for us to refer to those. I mean, think about a book, 200 pages, 10 chapters. You have to jump to chapter number 8. How would you do that if you don't have an index? Flip, 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 right? If you have an index, then you look at the number, jump there, right? So similarly, Google also creates an index out of these trillions of pages, and then some information about that is stored. This is the process called indexing, because we are creating an index. Now, what if Googlebot was able to crawl your page, but was not able to understand the content? For example, you're using Flash, and within Flash, you have a bunch of text. It runs pretty nicely on a desktop browser for your users. However, it may not run on mobile devices, for example. And Googlebot may also not be able to get into that Flash component and read the text. So what happens in these cases? While your pages are being crawled, Googlebot is not able to understand the content of that page. So will it be able to show that pages in the search results? No. Yes? So what is also important for you to ensure that your pages are not just being crawled appropriately, but also being indexed. Can you check how Google is seeing your pages? How they're being indexed? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes?
Again.
A lot of you don't know. Yes. Yes, yes. There are ways. We will learn about those things as well in the coming slides. Okay? Yes, you can definitely check. And then once we have crawled the web, we have discovered the information that is there on the World Wide Web, we have gathered information and data points and things like that about this information, we are in a way ready to serve our users. Meaning now if somebody comes to google.com, types in a query, then we kind of know, okay, what are the relevant pieces that we can show to them. However, here comes a new challenge. And you must have seen, if you type in a query in Google search, and just below the search bar, we tell you, okay, so many results found. Yes?
Yes.
And these are usually like dozens or thousands or maybe even millions,
Yes.
right? 4 million results found for your query. What does this mean? There could be up to 4 million pages that Google has found that could be relevant in some way to your query. Now, how would Google decide of the 4 million pages that it found to be in some way relevant, which is the one that is the most relevant? How would it decide?
Besides,
Right.
all the SEO elements are added over there. How the content, whether the content is useful for visitors, those are looking for. It's meeting all the guidelines which Google suggests.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay, the SEO elements that are added there, if it is relevant to the user's query, and then it follows all the guidelines or not. Yes, these are good things, of course, right? Of course, these are good things. So one of the most important things here is the relevance. Is the content relevant to the user or not? And then also meritocracy. Is the content really high quality, original, unique, that can give user value? Is it like that or not? Yes, of course, we look at these things. And in deciding whether it is relevant or not, we use more than 200 factors, as we said. Okay, so we are asking question after question after question, more than 200 questions that we ask to check, okay, whether this piece of content is really relevant, absolutely relevant to this user for this query in this place in time, coming from this location for this particular user. We check that and then we serve the results. And this is done by our algorithms. So as you are typing in the query, our algorithms start to work. Right there, they go through these 200 plus factors, and then PageRank is one of these 200 plus factors in deciding whether this content is relevant, useful to the user or not, and then we present the search results. So that is how basically search works. Now, when we're presenting these results, of course, we want them to be useful to the user as well, in the sense, if a user is on a mobile device, then we would like to present them with results that are mobile friendly. If you're presenting them with pages that are not mobile friendly, then that may make for a very bad user experience. They may not even be able to get the information that they are looking for, right? So we try to format it which is in a form which is more applicable and useful for the user. So this was how, at a very high level, how Google search works. So there's a process called crawling, meaning we try to discover the information that is there on the World Wide Web. Then we try to process that information, understand that information ourselves, create a database out of it, which is the process of indexing. This is where the Google's index is created. Then when users come to look for information, we use our algorithms to work with more than 200 signals to determine, okay, which documents are the most relevant to this person for this query, and then we give the results, and then we give them in the appropriate format. This was how search works. Now, as we have said in the beginning, that the very nature of the World Wide Web and the content there is very, very dynamic. Yes, and we've also said that for any search engine, for it to work like fine, it will have to keep updating itself, its processes, how it crawls, how it indexes, and how it ranks as well. It has to keep updating itself, yes? Yes, that is where you see so many updates that Google announces to its algorithms. And some people are like really, really worried about, okay, can I get a list of all the updates that you're making? Yeah? Wouldn't it be nice? Well, so there are so many updates that we make. It is literally like impossible for you to keep track of everything, even for us, right? For any one person to keep track of all of those things is impossible. And many of these updates are such that there is nothing that you can do about them. However, when there are updates that are really, there is something that you can do about them, we follow certain policies and guidelines to provide you information about those things as well. So for any change that we make, every change that we make of how search works, there are a set of principles and values that we follow. Okay? Do you think there are, or yes, or do we do this like very randomly? No? There has to be some principles, some values that we follow. Right? So what would be best for you as well is if you also know what these principles and values are that Google follows in making any of these changes. Keep that in mind and work with them. Then you need not worry about all the individual changes that we are making to the algorithm, because you know the philosophy behind it. You know the principles behind that. Right? And everything is just a result of that. So let us take a look at some of these values and principles that we follow in making all of these changes to our how search works. So here we're going to look at three things. The first and the most important one is focus on the user. What is it? Focus on the user. This is one of the most important thing for us, and we would like to, as we have said, our mission itself is to make information universally accessible and useful. Yes, so this is our primary focus. Then of course, as we have said, a search engine is nothing by itself. It is nothing by itself. It is nothing without you all. meaning the content creators, the publishers, and the website owners like you, because we are just representing your content to the users. If you do not exist, we also do not exist, right? If you're not there, we are not there. So you become a critical part of how search works. And that is why it is extremely important, not just important, critical for us that we provide you with information, with tools, resources, and support to ensure that you are successful in Google search, right? This becomes critical for us. And this very conference is because it is critical, right? This is the evidence that it is really critical for us. It really matters to us that we help you in becoming successful in creating content, and especially nowadays, the local language content in India. Yes. So that is why we do a bunch of things. We will take a look at those things as well. And finally, we would also like to maximize access to the information without any biases. Right? We believe in free expression, so it is not that, okay, we prefer some publisher to some other publisher. Okay, that doesn't happen. And we will also take a look at what our policies under this are as well. So first of all, focus on the user. What does it mean? It means, as I said, providing the most relevant and useful results to our users. So every change that we bring to our algorithms, to how search works, the search features and everything that we do is focused on who? The user, right? It is for them. If we see, okay, there is some change that we would like to bring, but it is not useful to most of our users, then we don't bring it, okay? If we see, yes, this change is going to be actually useful to most of our users, then yes, we go ahead with that. Right? So for example, in here you see if you typed in this example query latitude or similar queries in the past, what you would get is only HTML documents as results. Yeah, but then we realized, okay, for not for every query people are looking just for text. They may be looking for images or videos or whatever, right? So on the right side, if you see, we try to modify how we present the results, and we said, okay, we can include a couple of images about this, a snippet from a website, and the link to it, and the other results. So this format probably works well for the users, and it did work well for the users. So we accepted this and we implemented this, right? Now, how do we decide whether something is useful for the users or not? We do experiments. What do? We do experiments. So for every change that we try to bring to how search works, we test it using variety of experiments. It's not just one type of A/B testing and done. No, we do a variety of number of experiments for any change that we would like to bring. And can anybody guess, like, how many of these experiments do you think we did in 2017 alone? How many experiments? 40? Sorry? In lakhs, okay? Any other guesses, opinions? No idea? Yes, we know you have no idea. That is why you're here, to give you an idea. But I just want any random guesses. What do you think? Okay, that was very close. Lakhs. How many lakhs? Precisely 2,70,000 experiments in just 1 year. 2,70,000 experiments in just 1 year. And after all these experiments, how many actual changes do you think we implemented? Okay. That's a very, very high bar. Sorry. We are not that bad, by the way. 100 odd? Just a little better. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 1,000? Maybe you can double that. 2,000? Yeah, it is close to 2,500. Close to 2,500 changes that we did to how search works. Now, do you think it is possible for you to keep tab of all of these 2,500? Right? It is more than how many, like close to 8, 9 updates per day, right? So what is more worthy for you is to understand the principles. Okay, how exactly these changes are happening? The first one is focus on the user. Every change that we are bringing, we are trying to help the user. We are trying to make the results more useful, more accessible, right, to the user. Okay, so that is it. And when you look at the search results page, there are two types of results that you see. right? The first one on the top, you may see some ads, advertisements, right? And then there is other set of results, which is known as something organic results. Yes, the organic search listings. Yes. So what we are going to talk about today is this, the organic search listing. That is what we are talking about. When we say how search works, we're talking about how the organic listings work. Now, advertisements, they have their own processes, right? While in the advertisement space, you may be able to pay something and then show up your ad there. Although that is not the only criteria they also look at. They also have different kinds of parameters that they base the listings on. It is not just the money. However, when it comes to organic listings, do you think there is anything, any kind of payment, any kind of favor that you can use to influence the organic listings? Organic? Is there any kind of such things you can do? Absolutely not. What is it based on? We just said relevance, meritocracy. Yes? Uniqueness, originality of your content, usefulness of your content, relevance of your content to the user's query, the intent of the query to the user. Yes? So that is what it is absolutely based on. How these things work is absolutely independent. It is very separate, very independent, so much so that even internally we do not share anything between these teams.
I have a question here.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but see, there are a lot of these websites. I mean,
Like
big,
the huge
websites.
Mhm.
So
They're not very old also.
there's hardly any content. So I mean, I do like recipes on all of both of us, and we do recipes. So we write a lot of information about the recipe and the ingredients being used. But if you see a couple of bigger websites, there's hardly anything in the post. Just maybe a box with the recipe in it. But they still rank higher.
And they're not very old. They're not.
Just that they are like big.
So, and then they rank organic. So how does this work?
Okay, great question. So the question is, okay, we do recipes, someone else also do recipe. We like so long recipes. Oh, maybe long recipes is better. No? Okay.
It's not about long.
Yeah.
It's about the quality content.
The quality of the
It's
content.
even the quantity of the content.
Quantity
I
of
mean, we
the-
are talking about both here. We're just talking about
User
Quality and
experience.
content.
probably like you said,
User
we have to see
experience.
user experience. and
Right,
everything.
right.
But still,
So I provide quality content. They don't.
no, they
No, it's
there's
not
no
about
content
us
in
and
it.
we.
Okay, there is no content. Okay.
Yeah, just a recipe box and a recipe.
Recipe box and a recipe.
That's it. And they
Okay.
Even
Sorry,
for
yeah.
example, if you go back to brand recipe,
Okay.
even if you don't talk about recipes for a minute, you talk about branding. I mean, there are brands whose websites are there. They really are not very content heavy or very. I mean, if I'm searching, for example, if I'm searching for, let's say, a MAC lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about a MAC lipstick. There's a MAC lipstick. There is a blog which has reviewed MAC lipstick in detail.
Very relevant content to the audience.
Very relevant content. And there's a website selling MAC lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
So now both of these are relevant to me. I want to buy a MAC lipstick, but I also want to read what this MAC lipstick is talking about. But when you look at the content, when you look at the search results, almost always the buying of MAC lipstick is what comes first rather than the review.
The what comes first, sorry?
Buying.
Buying.
Almost
Okay.
always. And these are all organic searches. So how does this work?
Right. That's a good question. That's a good question. How does this work? Right. So when I'm looking for a matte lipstick, this is happens also for the glossy ones.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
For the
So,
matte,
yeah.
glossy,
Okay,
liquid,
right.
anything.
Right. So when you're looking for a lipstick, then what you would generally see as the top results is, okay, they're prompting you to buy. Okay, those are e-commerce pages.
Right.
Yes. And then you have the other listings, maybe what exactly is a lipstick is maybe secondary, right? Okay, that's a good question. Before that, I would also like to address one of the important points you made. You said, okay, these domains are not old and they're still ranking.
Right.
Right? Okay. But where is that coming from? Meaning, do you think old domains rank better? Domain age is okay.
Yeah, it was, right?
It was. Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. One
At least
one of the ranking signals.
Assumption being that older pages have more incoming links.
Domain authority is the one.
And then
Yes.
we would have more pages linking to
Yes.
them because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Yes.
One of our friend told that she's having very good page with all the relevant content and
Mhm.
she's having everything. So whether the pages are interlinked, are they linking better within the website? Or
Mhm.
are they fulfilling all the SEO tags? What are the guidelines? Are
Mhm.
you also submitting it in XML sitemap? Because if you want to rank better on the first result, you have to beat all the algorithm, which the guidelines which Google says.
Okay, so the comment here is basically how well you're doing your SEO, how well your content is understood by search engines, right? Those kinds of things. Okay, fair enough. But we will have more discussion about the domain age, domain authority, and kinds of things in the last session. Okay, we'll park that for then. Okay, so yes. That aside, talking about like the problem that you said, okay, I'm seeing prompts for like, okay, buying lipstick and things like that. So see how search works is basically if we are seeing that, okay, for these specific queries, a lot of people are actually looking for, their intent with this type of a query is to buy something. That is this general sense we are getting from those kinds of queries. Then Google starts to understand it like that. Okay, people are, when they type in this thing, they are actually trying to buy this thing. Okay, that is when it may show you results for the e-commerce pages. Okay, but it is not only e-commerce pages, as you said. So there may be people who are looking for information as well. So we may also provide information, right? So that is how it works. So you may see that this is not the case for every query that you do. For some queries, although e-commerce pages may be very, very applicable there, but you would see informational pages. That may happen, right? So what we're trying to do here is trying to understand the user's intent. Now, it is not easy. It is not easy to understand the user's intent. We'll take some examples in the coming slides. How challenging it can be to understand what exactly the user. So, I mean, you just type in a query. That's it. 2 words. Now, Google has to process everything, right? What does this person mean by it? Exactly. Now, that's a big challenge. So we try to, like, some places we try to generalize, okay, a lot of people who are typing in matte lipstick, then they try to buy a lipstick. They're intending to buy a lipstick. So we think, okay, so this is the most relevant result. Probably we rank that up. Okay, so that is how it basically it works. Okay, so as we were talking about organic search and the ads, as I said, they're entirely different systems. Organic search works based on only relevance and meritocracy of the content. We will address your point about the, okay, no content as well. Okay.
Back again, for the website age, we were talking about
Website age.
You said from where it come, that older website get ranked better.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I think-
You have an answer?
No, I was actually.
Oh, you were asking me where it came from?
I want to ask. Yeah, I was taking you back to that point that.
Okay.
Very strong point over that. I mean, it's very strong assumption that older.
Very
websites
strong
rank-
assumption that older websites rank well. Okay. As I said, we have this covered in the last presentation. Okay. So we can have an elaborate discussion on that. Then, can we park it until then? Yes. Are you comfortable?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. So because we have lots of interesting content here as well that we would not want to miss. So. This is how basically we focus on the user, trying to give them absolutely relevant results. And I think it is best for us to do that as well, because the day we stop giving you relevant results, that day you are going to throw us out of the business. Yes, you're going to stop using Google search, and then we are out of business. So I think it is in the best interest for ourselves as well that we keep our focus entirely on the user, giving them the most relevant results, and have nothing, absolutely nothing that can influence the organic listings except relevance and meritocracy. Okay, so now, as we said, you are a critical part of how search works. You as publishers and content creators and website owners, so we have to support you. Without you, we just can't function. So it becomes extremely important. So what are we doing here to like support you? We provide a lot of information to you, like in here, right here. Okay, we are discussing a lot of things. There are already so many questions, which is very interesting. We are showing you how search works and things like that. However, when we do this, there is a challenge that we have to face, meaning a lot of people, maybe not you, people try to misuse this information. Yes? Yeah, you did? No? Okay. Yeah. Good people. Yeah. So a lot of people do that, right? So we have to, I mean, there is not everything that we can tell you, like how search works and things like that. And as I said, a lot of these things are not useful for you as well. So besides that, when this kind of activity happens, then we will have to also tweak our algorithms or prepare our algorithms in a manner that can understand these misuses, right? Somebody's trying to tweak the system, influence the system. So then we will have to have our algorithms understand those kinds of activities and take action on those players, whoever they are, and their content and website and things like that. Sometimes these algorithms may also fail. As we have said, it is a complex process, right? So people who misuse, they also keep developing their own techniques. So it's a complex process. So what we also have is something called a manual action team. Okay, so sometimes these algorithms may trigger, okay, I'm not able to understand this, what exactly is happening. I'm not fully confident that this is bad or this is good. Could you please check? And then our manual review team may actually review that page, for example, or a website and see, okay, is this really bad or good or what? And then if they find it is, okay, they're violating the webmaster quality guidelines, that they may take a manual action. Meaning they may either push that website down the results or completely remove that from the Google's index. That may also happen. And we get so many reconsideration requests. Okay, people telling us, okay, I don't know what exactly happened with my website. I had given my website for SEO to this person, and I don't know. He vanished, and my website also vanished from Google search. I don't know what is happening, things like that, right? So it is important for you to know about at least these basic things, how these things work, and what are the Google quality guidelines and things like that. So following sessions are going to be extremely important for you. We're going to see in detail all of these things, okay? Now, so, however, there are, of course, good people like you in this room who never do anything bad. Yeah. No, meaning, yes. I mean, not trying to misuse anything, only trying to use it, you know. So, what we try to do is whenever we bring any significant changes to how our algorithms work, how ranking works and things like that, we try to provide you information proactively, even before you ask. Because when we think, okay, this is going to be useful to you, and this is something we cannot do alone. We need your support, we need your help. For example, in 2015, we made mobile friendliness a ranking signal on mobile search. Yes? And then, like, more than a year or a year and a half before we intimated you about this thing, okay, we're trying to do this. And these are the things that you can do. These are the tools you can use. So we provided you with tools, resources, support, right, in helping you make your websites mobile friendly. And why we did that? Because we saw, okay, there is more traffic coming on the internet from mobile devices than desktop devices. So what is more relevant are mobile friendly pages. So it is good for the ecosystem, good for the users, good for everybody. So we have to do this. Now we can't do this alone. We need your support as well. So here we provide you support, right? So when we created that ranking signal, even before we did that, 1.5 years from earlier, we started providing you support. And then we all together made that happen. Yes, so this is how we try to work. Okay, so any significant changes, we try to provide you with information, we try to provide you with tools that can actually help you do that, and of course support as well. And then we also have one tool that is always there that you can use to manage the presence of your website in Google search results, and that tool is Search Console. Right? So we will learn more about Search Console as well in the coming slides, coming sessions. And then, as I said, we also have support, like we have a support forum that you can use and ask any questions that you may have with respect to your websites in relation to Google search. And then we also do Hangouts on air in many languages. In India, we do it in English and Hindi. We're trying to expand it to other languages. Let's see how this works. But right now we have this in Hindi as well. So if you have any questions, you can connect directly with us, the Google search team, and ask your questions. We go live 1 hour every month. This is an office hours hangout. You can join or you can leave your questions in the comments, and then we will answer live. And this is also recorded. You can look for these videos. So this is the kind of support that we are trying to provide you, the help you're trying to provide you information and things like that. And again, this very event right here, right, I'm present here. Our colleagues are present here. We're trying to do the same thing here as well. Okay, so we have multiple forums that we try to help you. Now finally, as we said, it is important for us to maximize the access to information without any biases or whatever. We believe in free expression, meaning we are not going to prefer any one publisher to the other, for example, for no reason, right? However, sometimes you may see that, okay, as you said, okay, I write authority content, quality content, somebody's not writing that kind of a content, but you're showing that content above mine content, right? That those kinds of things may happen, and they may happen for a variety of reasons. We have seen how search works. So sometimes those things are intentional, meaning Google thinks, okay, no, this content is more relevant, although this is the original writer, this person who is, they have copied this content, but still this is more relevant. That can happen. Okay, we'll talk more about that as well. Okay, in the coming, yes. All these are important points. We'll cover them. So, however, there are also technical challenges, right? Like, for example, 15% of the queries that we get every day are absolutely new to us. How many? 15%. Now we're talking about billions of queries every month. Yes, billions of queries every month. Out of these, 15% of the queries are absolutely new, meaning we started like 20 years ago, 97, 98. Since then till now, we have never seen this query ever. Now, how would we understand that query? And that is but true because we are seeing like crores and crores of people are coming online, different languages, different types of queries they have, different informational needs that they have. So they're trying to ask all types of questions. So, I mean, it becomes very difficult for us to understand what exactly they mean, what the intent is, and to match the appropriate content to them. So sometimes we may genuinely fail, right? But however, as your experience might also tell you, that this does not happen like more than maybe, it's probably less than 1% of the times. How many times do you go to like second page of Google search results without finding information, right? Not really, right? And you are able to, most of the times you are able to find relevant information on the first page itself for your queries. Yes, so we are doing a great job, but sometimes we may fail because of these reasons. However, sometimes we may have to explicitly remove some content from the Google search results. Right? Now, what are the scenarios? Those are very limited. Now, for example, these are the things when we may have to remove some content from appearing in the search results, like if there is some highly personal information that is accidentally revealed. Somebody came to your blog, they are trying to post a comment, and then by mistake, they left their credit card information. Now, this is showing in Google search results. Is this good for Google to show it, continue to show it, or remove it? Right? This is highly personal information that can be harmful to that user, right? So in these cases, we may remove the content, or we get like legal removal requests from governments, from organizations, from competitors, and copyright owners, and things like that, right? We get legal court orders that we have to follow, right? So we look at the validity of those orders, and then we take action based on that. So those are some of the cases. Child sexual abuse imagery, child porn as we call it, right? This is also absolutely not tolerated. 0% tolerance there. And as soon as we detect something like that, identify something like that, we immediately take action and remove such type of content. Okay, so that is there, and any kinds of quality guidelines that webmasters may do, right? So of course we have to maintain the fairness of the organic listings, so we have to take action on these players, their websites and content, right? And those are the cases as well. And of course, if you as a website owner do not want some content from your website to appear, then you can also request for removal of that content. So these are the limited scenarios where we may explicitly go ahead and remove the content. Otherwise, we want the web to be absolutely fair for everyone. And when we remove content, right, based on legal requests and things like that, we try to make this as transparent as possible, and we try to share information as much as we are able to. So you can access something called Google Transparency Report. This is a tool, just search for this tool, Google Transparency Report. This is how it looks. You can go there and access like what kinds of requests we have received, what kind of requests we have taken action upon, how many of those, and things like that, right? So you have that information available here. So we try to provide you as much information here as well.
How often does it happen? The removal of
How often? Well, if you combine everything, very often, right? Very, very often, because we're talking about that scale, right? Imagine how many webmasters are out there, what kind of content is out there. So this is very often, so there are different types of, as we have seen, there is a list of actions that we take. So yes, this happens very often. For example, our manual action team is working 24 hours, right? Across the globe, they're engaged 24 hours. So, and yes, of course, if you see something that is not very pleasant in the search results, if you think there is something bad happening there, some sensitive information that should not be showing there, some biased information showing there, or somebody is able to like trick or influence the Google search results and things like that, you can always provide us feedback. Okay, as you can see for this particular feature, there is a feedback button, and then we try to give you feedback options everywhere possible. So please definitely use this feedback feature to provide us with the feedback. As I said, it is possible for us to genuinely fail, our algorithms to genuinely fail, and you know why, right? It is not easy to do what we are doing. It is very difficult. And it is going to be difficult forever because web itself is going to be changing, right? So that is why we may fail, of course, and when we genuinely fail, we try to fix it as appropriately as we can. Generally, we try to tweak our algorithm so that we do not fail again, right? So rather than doing point fixes. So please provide your feedback, and with the feedback, I would also like to point you, tell you that, okay, you may provide some feedback and then you may not hear back from us. That is possible. Yes, that does not mean, okay, that does not mean that we are not listening. As you can imagine, we receive thousands of these kinds of feedbacks, right? It is practically impossible for us to respond to each and every of such request, right? Of such individual. It becomes, I mean, we may end up doing nothing else if we start doing this, okay? So it is not that it is not important. It is not that we are not listening to you, right? It is extremely important for us. That is the reason why our engineers have worked so hard to provide you with these options and continue to tweak them to make it more useful for you. Okay, that is why they are there in the first place. This feedback goes into a system and we process it, and we rely on it for a lot of things. So this is definitely being used. It is only that we are not able to get back to everybody individually. So if you do not hear back, please don't be disappointed. Please continue to give us feedback, and then be assured that, okay, your feedback is being heard, right? And as I said, we try to work on scale rather than point fixing. So sometimes you may see your problem is not fixed. It's been a month, it's been 2 months, but what might is happening is probably our engineers is working to fix the algorithm itself so that doesn't happen with similar things do not happen with other queries and things like that. Okay, that's great. So with that, we will take a quick look at some of the prominent changes that we have brought over a period of time to our search algorithms in this evolution of search. So we started way back in 97, 98, and there are tons of changes that we brought. Of course, we do not have time to go through everything. So what we will do is I'll share with you like about 3 examples, right, to show you like how search works and things like that. If you're done taking pictures, please feel free to take pictures, videos, anything. You can also have live commentary running probably if you want. Done. Can we move ahead? Okay, thank you. Yes. So synonyms, right? So as you can understand, language is a very complex system. Yes. So understanding it is very, very difficult, and more so for algorithms, for machines, right? So when we started our search in English, for example, as you can see, here is the complexity. So somebody typed in a query saying how to change a light bulb. Now, the term they used here is change. What they mean is replace, meaning take the old one out, put the new one in, right? They're trying to replace the light bulb. Now, when they typed in change, Google may understand it as replace, because that is the intent of the user. Now, the other person uses the same word and types in a query, does post office change foreign currency? Now, by using change, they actually mean exchange. So how would you like Google to understand that? Change or exchange? exchange, right? Google is going to understand this term as exchange. Now, someone else types in how to change brightness on a laptop. They have used the same exact term, change, but what they mean is edges. So what is their intent? Their intent is to find how they can adjust the brightness on their laptop. So now this list can be much more longer. Yes, using the same word. So Google is trying to understand the intent of the user. It is not just looking at the keywords and matching keywords. No. It is trying to look at what? The intent of the user. What exactly do they mean by this? Right? And I can say, okay, we have conquered this quite well in English language. However, when it comes to relatively newer languages like Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, and things like that, it is still a challenge, right? And as you may understand, how systems work is like they learn using machine language and things like that, right? And then they need data. If there is scarcity of content, lack of data, then it becomes even more difficult for Google to understand these languages. This is where you play a critical role in improving Google search, in improving the ecosystem by creating local language content. Yes, as you create more and more content, you're helping Google in improving as well. So you will see everything improving. Okay, so this is where it becomes important. And universal search. So as we have already said, previously you used to see what we call as 10 blue links, only HTML pages. Now we said, okay, probably people are not just looking for HTML documents. For some queries, their intent is to find images. For some queries, their intent is to find videos and things like that. So we've said, okay, whatever the query is, we will search across different types of content and give them with a result set which is the most relevant, no matter what type of content it is. So we do a mix of things and we try to like rank whatever is the most relevant, whether it's an image, video, whatever it is. So this is called universal search. Now, it may work very, very well and beautifully in English. However, can you expect it to work the same in some of the local languages, in Kannada, Tamil, Telugu? Not really, right? Because again, our understanding of these languages and the content itself in these languages is very limited, right? If there is no content, what is Google going to show? And there is less content, then Google may have difficulty in understanding the content and things like that, right? This is where, again, you play an important role. If you're creating local language content, then you are helping Google, not just Google users and the ecosystem. And knowledge graph. As you know, you can see a panel on the desktop searches on the right, even on your mobile devices. So previously we used to understand a query that you typed in as a string of letters, right? As a string. But now we understand a lot of these things as things. Not strings, but things. Meaning if you typed in Taj Mahal, then we know, okay, this is a monument. Can be found in Agra, built by so-and-so in this year, and these are the related other monuments and things like that. So we launched this with an understanding of about 1 billion entities. How many of them? 1 billion and 50 billion data points associated with these 1 billion entities. Now, can you expect this thing to work exactly as it works in English in the local languages? Probably not. Yes, because no data. No information available in these local languages. So again, if you're creating content, then there is so much that you are doing, right? So yeah.
So creating content does not mean that we have Google Translate on our site, and then does that help?
Creating content does not mean having Google Translate meaning you want to use Google Translate to translate your English content into the local language content?
So somebody lands on our website, so we have Google Translate and everything there. So if they want to read it in their local...
Okay, it is like translated.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that help? Because then...
Well, that may help users to some extent, but as you know, Google Translate is like not perfect.
Yeah.
Right? It is not perfect.
Yeah.
So do you think that makes for an ideal user experience? It does not, right? Also, does it have to search at all? That's a good question, okay? So no, Google is not able to crawl or index or show those pages by itself in the search results. It is not, okay? It is not. So once a user lands on your page, then we may be able to translate it with whatever quality we have in different languages. It varies, right? We are trying to help as much as we can in users understanding your content. But can we actually crawl and index those pages and rank those pages? No, we cannot. Okay, we cannot as of now. We cannot. So what you can do is, I mean, if it makes sense for your website, for your content, for your users, then you can have like content translated, right? Ensuring that the output is absolutely as the original quality. Okay, if you can do that, that will be great. Yes.
See, duplicate content
Mhm.
is not really encouraged or liked by search engines.
Duplicate content. Okay, that's
Is that first? Okay.
Is that true?
Is that true? Is one question. But
Okay.
the second question I was saying was, we are all content creators. So for our primary websites are in English. So now, if we want to do a local language website,
Mm-hmm.
the ideal thing would be to translate our content and create a, let's say, Hindi website for it or a Tamil website for it.
Right.
Of course, there would be edits, but
There would be edits,
Of
but
course.
it would be essentially same stuff happening.
Yes.
Right? If you we create recipes, for
Right.
example, she creates arts and crafts. So I would have recipes which are already existing in my English website, translated, same pictures, because I'm not going to go create,
Right.
take newer pictures for the new. So does that? How does that work in search?
Yes, you are talking from the perspective of duplicate content.
I'm talking about perspective of duplicate
Right.
content.
So the question is, okay, duplicate content is not a really good thing, not encouraged by search engines. Is that true? That is the first question. Second is, okay, if you're translating content to other languages, we are creating duplicate copies of the same information in different languages. How is that
Yes.
taken by search
Yes.
engines? That is your
Yes.
question, right?
That's the question.
So, yes. First of all, if you understand duplicate content, the very nature of how websites work, how the internet works, is this duplicacy of content is inherent part of how things work. Yes? Yes, we understand that, right? So the duplicate content can happen for a variety of reasons. You're using a content management system. You create one blog. It creates, and that blog post can be accessible by multiple URLs automatically. Yes, yourwebsite.com/the article title, yourwebsite.com/category/article title, date/article title, whatever/article title, right?
Right.
So this is the very nature of the World Wide Web. Google understands this.
Okay.
Okay, so do you think it's a problem for us? Not at all, because that's the very nature of how things work. So we have to work how they work. We cannot change the entire working of the internet, right? That is the thing. The second thing, if you look at different types of content, right? So for example, there is a product that is launched, Apple phone, okay? And then you have product specifications, right? And that specification is copied across thousands of websites. Yes? Now, just because it is duplicate, do you think they should change the specifications? No, right? That doesn't make sense, right? So there is duplicacy of content. Now, there are news websites which share news. There's one central body that shares news with many websites. They publish that content. So this nature of duplicate content is not as simple as, right, you may imagine. So this is a very complex thing, and Google understands this. So it is not that duplicate content is a bad thing. No,
Okay.
it is not. Especially if it is on your website, it is not. Absolutely not. Right? And we talk about the policies of duplicate content, I mean copying content from others' website and things like that in the policy session. Okay, that will be covered. Now, coming to different language content. Okay, I'm creating this piece of content available in English. I want to make it available in other languages. Is that duplicate content? Yes. Is it bad? Absolutely not. Is it good? No, it is great.
It was
Okay.
asking 2 minutes.
Okay.
of information also.
Sorry?